I've been doing a little bit of work on the old Jeep lately because it's getting close to hunting season. That's when this thing gets used the most. And I've done a lot. I've done wheel bearings, kingpin bearings, leaf springs in the rear. But what this thing needs is a roof rack. I need to put a little bit of something on the top there where I can throw, you know, some camping gear or maybe a big old bull elk rack one of these years coming off the mountain. I got to come up with some kind of design and build a roof rack for that thing, and I've got a few ideas for it. Now, I could go on and just order a roof rack online or find something somewhere and put on there, but that thing doesn't need your high dollar fancy canned roof rack like you put on your Land Rover or your mall cruiser Jeep. This thing needs something different. It needs something unique, something custom to fit that, and the only way to get that is to build one. All right, so here I have about 100 feet of 1/2-inch conduit, some strap, a little bit of all thread, my Harbor Freight chop saw, which, by the way, is just perfectly suited for cutting 1/2-inch EMT. The old little welder, a little bit of a diagram of sorts, and a tape measure, and we're gonna build a roof rack. These materials down here, all that conduit, the strap, a little bit of hardware. Went to my local big box store there, and I paid $100 for all of it. $100 for all these materials. And let's be honest, can a guy go on Facebook or Craigslist or something and buy an old used roof rack for less money than that? Yeah, probably. Does that make a very good YouTube video? Absolutely not. Follow along. Let's jam out a quick and dirty roof rack for the old Jeep. So these are the materials we're going to use to build it. This is the main tool we're going to use. This is a conduit bender for 1/2-inch EMT with a 5-inch radius. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am not an electrician, and I'm not even really that good at bending pipe or conduit, but we're going to give it a rip. We're going to try to do this with as few bends as possible, but the trick I'm going to do first is bend all my angles out, try to get my angles done. If I can cut my 90s or bend my 90s, and then if I have to do any makeup in between, then it's just straight pieces that I'll couple together with this piece of all thread in between it. So, all right. I want to go to lunch with my wife here in about an hour, so let's see how much we can get knocked out before she gets home. Let's get on it. Okay, so I made 4 bends, my first piece and then my second piece. The key to this whole thing is make my bends work and line up so that all I have left over is a bunch of little straight pieces. I'm not trying to fit a bend in between a couple of straight pieces. So this is it. I got my 2 pieces. This thing should be either 48 inches. That's how long this thing's gonna be. Now I need to come in here and make it 58.5 inches wide. I'll do that, and then I'll have both my pieces chopped, or I would just chop one of them, and butt them up. And then I have this piece of all thread in here that'll just shove right in the middle of that, and I'll take my little welder and tack it up. And so then we have one of our main hoops done. All right, well, that's my square or rectangle, 58.5 by 48. Here's the joints right there and right there. And all I did was just cut off the excess, and I took a chunk of this 5/8 all thread and chopped it. By the way, Harbor Freight chop saw, thumbs down. I'm gonna do it with my cutoff wheel next time. And I just inserted that in there. So now all I gotta do is make sure it's laying nice and flat so it's square. Get my little welder and I'm gonna tack that into place, and then we'll start building the next hoop to go on top. Well, okay, I didn't make the lunch cutoff. This is as far as I made it, but I just got getting back into this. You can see we have our 2 hoops that are relatively the same size and shape. Now I had to just come in and make my little stanchions. So that's what I have here. I cut these 3-inch sections of my leftover conduit from cutting the straights off, and I coped them. I took a flap wheel on my angle grinder and I just put a little V in each end. That's just enough to kind of get it around it. Well, we have a roof rack looking thing now. It's, you know, now you can at least get the idea for it. These old Jeeps are so wide and so short that it's actually wider than it is long, the rack. So I'm working to make the corners line up better. It does pretty much on a few of them, but then you get here and it's kind of like this, where it doesn't really want to line up. And this corner's about the same. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the camera down and get back on it. And I'm going to do a little bit of manhandling on that. A little tweaking, a little pulling and adjusting to try to get these corners to line up right. All right. It looks like a roof basket now, kind of, if you have a good imagination. I'm going to have to quit on this here in a few minutes, but I want to make some quick progress. So I'm going to go ahead and make my stringers that go across the bottom on the inside. I think I'm going to need about 8 of them. I don't know, I haven't done my final measurements yet, and I'm not about to try to do math in public here. This is where I'll put one disclaimer in here, that this metal that I'm cutting is obviously galvanized. So you want to do it outside, garage door open, something, wind blow through, and everywhere I can, I try to knock the dust off it, you know, hit it with a flap wheel before I go to welding on it. This is it. I've got all my stringers cut for the insides. I'm going to try to get these tacked, space them and tack them, but I might have to pull it in and call it a day. Either way, as soon as we come back, you're going to see a roof rack together and getting ready to show you how we're going to tie it to the Jeep. Try it this way. Well, hello there, friends. It's been just a couple days since the roof rack. I don't really remember where I left off, but let's check out where we are on it. Okay, so this is where we stand. Again, I kind of forgot where we left off. I think we had the basic shape of this thing done, but I went in and I put in my little stanchions, supports all the way around. And I final welded everything up. And here's the thing on welding these, I didn't actually like cope these at all on these bars. I just slammed them in there, tacked them on each side, and then the little Hobart MIG welder, that sucker does good enough. It just fills in, just welded it up real nice. Yeah, and then I put this one bar in the middle there because I didn't want it to flex at all in the middle. I don't want this rack to be hitting on my roof there, and I didn't want to have to give it a bunch of space. So I thought that would stiffen it up with that bar bent like that, tying it into the top. It kind of has some, I don't know, looks like a bridge or something. So that's where we are. I made this thing specifically to be the width of this top, because now all I'm going to do is I'm going to use this piece of strap. I think this is 1 by, oh, what is it, 1/8 inch. And I'm just going to come in here with that and build some pieces that weld in top, bottom, and then go straight down on this. And then we're going to bolt it through the side here. So this strap's going to come down through the side, and I'll do that probably 4 places, 2 on the side, 2 on this side. Well, here you go. You can get the idea. I just have those tacked in there. And check that out. That's what happens when you don't pay attention when you're scooting it into place. Oh, well, a little white paint will fix that up. But this is the idea. And the idea here is I'm going to drill holes, where those 2 black marks are, run my bolts through, and then I'm going to put another plate like this on the inside. So the whole idea is that this is going to sandwich that metal and hold it in place, not just bolts where it's hanging on the bolts where it'll wallow around in there. I thought about doing one more here in the middle. I don't know, put down in the comments down below. Tell me what you think. Is this going to be strong enough, or do I need to run another one in the middle? All right, well, our rack is together. Anyway, now I got to put some black paint on this thing because I almost forgot to. And I'm ready to put it up there and drill my holes, and I'll just drill my holes through the brackets and the roof at the same time. Meanwhile, I'm doing that. Got Annie putting spark plugs in the Model A for me. Life's good. Nothing like trying to spray paint on a windy day. Good thing's just a roof rack. Well guys, I realized yesterday I got busy working and not too busy filming. So I finally got the roof rack on the Jeep. Let's check it out. Here it is. It looks a lot like what we had before, except now it's painted black and it's bolted to the Jeep. And I'll show you guys how I bolted it in. I just built these, put these straps on, and then I just screwed it in with a self-tapping screw. No, I'm just kidding. Those are bolts. Check out on the inside how it's tied in. You can see the other side there. I went ahead and put some rubber back there, piece of inner tube, and then a piece on the inside here. And again, the idea is so that this clamp kind of sandwiches this metal, rather than having bolts in there that are just sagging on a hole. Work on the holes bigger. So there you go. That's it. It's fairly square. It fits on there nice. It's nice and strong. I like it. It's got just enough gap underneath it there that, it's not going to sag down and rattle against the top. I think that's just what that thing needed to tie everything all together. And my daughter and I are both going to be going out hunting it this fall, so we're going to need some space in that thing. All right, friends. Well, there you have it. That project is complete. We can cross that one off the list. What do you guys think? The roof rack, I think, came out pretty good. It goes to show what a guy can do with a little bit of some conduit, a conduit bender, a little MIG welder. You can get a lot accomplished. Let me know what you think. This thing work out well on the Jeep? Hey, what do I need to do next on this thing? It looks like I need to paint it, but what other than painting it do I need to do next? Why don't you guys just throw it out in the comments down below. Put a little blurb in there. Tell me what you think I need to do to the Jeep. And tell me what you guys want to start seeing next on the old hot rod or maybe the Camaro. I got more projects than I got time. We'll see you next time here in Bad Hombre Garage. All these materials all right, so let's be honest. These materials down here, son of a gun,